All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Jeffrey Thomas with MarketingProfs, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Thank you so much for being here. All right, before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to go over. If you lose audio or visual, simply exit Zoom and come back to reset your connection. The chat feature is available for you at the bottom of the screen and should be used for general chat comments. Now, if you have questions or comments directly for our guests today, you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. We will hear from our speakers first, and then we'll go into those questions in the Q&A and we'll answer as many questions as we can. Now, I'd like to take a quick minute to thank our sponsor, Demand Science, for sponsoring today's broadcast. Demand Science is a global B2B data company that partners with customers to upgrade their pipeline. Their accurate data and predictive insights enable sales and marketing professionals like you to identify, activate, and convert the right buyers at the right time to achieve your growth goals. I'm excited today to introduce Christian Mudgett and Daniela Christinakis. Christian Mudgett is a seasoned B2B and B2C sales professional. Over the past 15 years, he has helped clients achieve their sales and marketing goals by intelligently leveraging data. He heads up the ABM paid media arm of Demand Science. And Daniela Christinakis, as the Director of Customer Experience at Demand Science, is pivotal in streamlining client onboarding and enhancing customer adoption. With several years of experience in lead generation, Daniela uses her expertise to guide customers on best practices, focusing on increasing their return on investment. All right, you all are here for content syndication and ABM advertising. Better together. Let's get started. Christian and Daniela, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're excited to share with you a powerful yet overlooked ABM strategy. That is the idea of combining multiple tactics across a particular data set.
Hey everyone, in today's case, we'll be discussing leveraging content syndication alongside display advertising. As Daniela just mentioned, the combination of these two tactics can be overlooked largely because they're often separated at a vendor level, making it difficult for buyers like you to execute these tactics without having to go through multiple vetting processes, sign multiple contracts, be assigned multiple CXMs, and ultimately experience data fragmentation as you go to market promoting to different audiences. So what we're going to cover today, understanding content syndication, effectively known as content syn around the Demand Science house, and ABM advertising. Synergy of content syndication and ABM advertising together, data accuracy and personalization and marketing, and finally, targeting and engaging your ideal customers.
Before we go any further, that's us. So we're certainly excited to be with you today to really just discuss, again, that better way to go to market and how Demand Science could potentially be your partner in doing so. But I think we'll get started with a quick poll.
Perfect. Well, I want to go over some market overview numbers, sort of state of the state. This as of late last year, and as you see some of these stats on board, love to kind of get this interactive poll going, kind of trying to see a straw poll. Where on everyone's ABM journey are we? Everything from training wheels, haven't even started, to I'm full throttle, ready to go. And while those polling numbers come up, a couple stats I thought might be interesting here. On average, B2B companies spend just under 30% of their marketing budget on account-based marketing. 90% of companies say the top goal of their ABM strategy is actually new business generation, so getting that pipeline going. 94% of B2B marketers use ABM, and 70% of companies report using ABM. What's not on here, and we can always send this as a follow-up, and these numbers are still coming in, but as a whole, B2B ad spending was about 30 billion last year. Digital B2B ad spending was about 15 billion, and then even further down, so specifically programmatic, paid display, paid video, was close to 7 billion, which was about a 20 to 30% jump just over the previous year. So you can see this pie is getting bigger, and clearly, there's a lot to fish in here. So kind of looking at some of the results, it looks like almost everyone on this call is just getting started. That's fantastic. I think that's why we're all here.
Perfect.
That's a perfect time to come on in. Yeah, so perfect. I want to keep moving forward. Maybe one, Daniela. Great. So before we dive into content syndication, and programmatic advertising, wanted to make a few points of clarification around some industry buzzwords. Excuse me. ABM, or account-based marketing, is a strategy that contains multiple services or products within it. So over the years, especially with the growth of companies like 6 Sense and Demandbase, the term ABM and the concept of actually serving ads has become almost interchangeable. So ABM advertising is a specific tactic, and we'll be talking about in a few minutes, but the purpose, just not in this slide, but the entire webinar today, is that ABM should be a holistic approach. Just think of a flywheel. There are many dozens of different activities that one could hypothetically be doing. We encourage you to do most, if not all, that makes sense for you. So really, the idea is surrounding the buyer in all channels in the appropriate times where possible. So really, in a nutshell, at its core, account-based marketing is a focused growth strategy, which marketing and sales are collaborating, so they're aligned, to create personalized buying experiences for a mutually identified set of high value accounts in most cases. So complete alignment between sales and marketing, some tactics and some channels that are often used. Let's leverage CRM tools for data insights and data activation. Paid digital, social, blogging, email, even good old telemarketing. Traditional snail mail still happens, it still works. Personalized websites. These are all assets or facets of a good or a whole account-based marketing strategy. So for here, for today's topic, the advertising piece, paid programmatic, it's actually one of the most effective and accessible means of getting a large number of eyeballs to your site. The barrier to entry is pretty low, and it's relatively cost effective in terms of the amount of eyeballs that you'll hopefully be getting, not only aware of your brand, but then also hopefully clicking through to your site. And then the ideal pie in the sky would be that that conversion, that closed one up. So by taking advantage of your unique selling points, unique selling points on various platforms, whether it's someone like Demand Science or anyone else out there, advertisers have a very wide range of tools at their disposal to reach their ICP, and I think that's a good place to be. A couple years ago, we didn't always have all those options. So little example, Demand Science, customers can leverage one of the largest first-party data sets in the industry, well over 200 million B2B offline known contacts, right? So those are known individuals tied to, email, name, postal, phone number. We know who those individuals are. All of that offline contact data is also tied to known intent data at a persona level. So then we take that data, go ahead and advertise programmatically across the web. So maybe you're familiar with this. If not, bear with me for a second. But as an example, you ever browse, outdoor equipment website and then received ads for the same tent for the next 3 weeks, hopefully not too often. That would be an example of, programmatic retargeting on the B2C level. The same thing on the B2B side of the house. If you ever filled out a form, maybe a cheat sheet, a how-to Gartner report, something like that, well, then you're going to continue hopefully to get ads if these programmatic companies are doing their job right, in the right place at the right time, really nascently, passively, hopefully influencing your buying decision across that whole buying committee. So really the name of the game here, when account-based marketing and content syndication strategies are aligned into a single platform, like you can get with us and perhaps several others. They're really, the idea is to combine the two strategies to create a closed loop, hyper-targeted approach to generate and nurture only the highest quality leads amongst that ICP. And really, when they're working together, you're going to see increased personalization, improved content ROI, enriched data, and really an enhanced nurture cycle throughout this whole customer journey.
Thanks, Christian. So let's dig into the content syndication side of the house a bit. As Christian just mentioned, advertising is a core pillar of ABM across most industries. But if serving impressions and creating awareness makes up the majority of your approach, you're likely not getting the most out of your target accounts. It's one thing to create awareness among your top accounts, but syndication is really going to take it a step further and help you cement yourself as a thought leader across those same accounts. So at its simplest level, you get more out of the content you've created for your business through content syndication. You've likely invested thousands in creating ebooks, checklists, videos, other types of content. So you can get more ROI out of it by sharing it with more people across your target audience. By reaching various members of the buying committee through their inbox, content syndication helps you be top of mind, all while growing in your opted-in database with leads from your top accounts. While identifying advertising to a set of accounts is the natural first step, too many marketers aren't getting down to the contact level. Individuals, they research, they attend meetings, they sign contracts. A well rounded ABM approach has to generate individuals for your sales team to begin that conversation with. So ultimately, it's great brand awareness. You'll be top of mind. Your reps will have an easier time following up because the prospects will already recognize the brand. And a lot of content pieces include internal links, which helps you grow organic traffic to your website, which is going to improve your domain authority as an added plus. This is why content syndication belongs firmly in every ABM strategy because there's really no better way for you to generate opted in individuals on a fixed cost basis.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, as you take a look at sort of this Venn diagram we've got up on the screen, I did want to do another quick straw poll. By no means is it scientific, but I think it gives Danielle and I a good idea of how to guide this conversation, especially through Q&A. So, what channels are you leveraging, if any, for your account-based marketing strategy? Obviously, I don't know if the poll was shared, but it's about 60% of y'all on the Zoom right now were in that sort of training wheel stage. So I'm curious to see how this kind of plays out between social, email. It looks like right about now we've got the lion's share are using one or more of the above, which is fantastic. My guess is it's some combination of social, email, and maybe a paid digital, if I had to use my gut. Paid digital will also be something such as a LinkedIn, right? And that's, I think, one of the bigger differences between programmatic advertising and, we're not the only ones out there. There's a lot of other companies that do that versus the walled gardens. It's similar to, do you want to only be in front of someone when they're on LinkedIn and Facebook, Twitter, etc., or do you want to be in front of that buying committee in the open web? And I think the answer is frankly probably both, right? You want to be surround that buying committee as often as possible. So yeah, we've got about just close to 2/3 of those on the Zoom today using multiple approaches, which is fantastic. So I was reading a recent HubSpot article, and it was actually suggested that a prospect needs at least 8 touch points to convert to a meeting. It's a lot. So here's where the synergy of multi-channel approach takes center stage. So if that magic number has roughly been set at, say, 8, as a marketer, you have to start thinking of different ways to reach that threshold. So a few years ago, surrounding the buyer was the main goal, but with tighter budgets and growing buying committees, the goal is to surround the decision with an ABX approach or that account-based experience. So buyers are engaging with content, they're retargeted with ads as they go down, through their buyer's journey. Meanwhile, coworkers, those other really important people who might not be necessarily known, but we know we need to influence them, reports, managers, they're talking around the water cooler. They are experiencing that same persistent multi-channel engagement. And then when they're targeted online, it almost becomes second nature. At least that's the goal. So there's a consensus at the end of the day that your brand, ABCXYZ, that's the one to pick for this job. Moving on forward just a little bit more, want to talk about data fragmentation because that's kind of a hot topic these days. So what's happening when marketers are forced to use multiple vendors in a variety of audiences? So you may generate a lead, let's just say through content syndication with one partner, then you go to another partner to retarget that lead with some display ads. You don't have that same matching data set, and oftentimes kind of get created, you get put into this dead end into a funnel where it's a little bit like buckshot, scattershot messaging, and you're not necessarily going after the right individual at every step of the way with that coordinated message. So, some marketers will leverage, a vendor for email is another example, direct mail campaigns. Here at Demand Science, we do several. There are other platforms that do varying degrees of that. But I think at the end of the day, it really is important if you're trying to mitigate data fragmentation to stick with a vendor, or at least pick a vendor who can offer not just a one-trick pony type of thing. So it's not just content syndication. It's, I want a vendor who's able to go ahead and send out emails. I want a vendor who's able to go ahead and put out programmatic display and video ads on my behalf. So I think that's sort of I think where the industry is going in terms of being really efficient and avoiding that data fragmentation issue. So really, kind of going back to that magic 8 number, if you're not reaching that magic 8 number of touches per prospect, you're really just not being efficient. And we've seen oftentimes with some of our customers, they're reaching 2-3x the amount of people, but they're spending 2-3x the amount they would, right? So you're talking about like a 6x variance between who they're reaching and what they're spending on, when if they were just to go with maybe 1 or 2 more bespoke hand-picked, curated vendors, they'd be able to hopefully get, ostensibly a more, streamlined message out to their customers.
Yeah, and this is really feedback that we've heard from our clients too, that multi-channel can be really challenging because of all of the specialization in the market. The challenge facing the marketplace being that most vendors don't have a large, unique first party data set that can cover a wide range of ICPs. And if they do, that vendor typically only gives you one or two tactics to reach your ICP. So, this causes marketers who want to take a well rounded ABM approach to leverage mismatched databases and juggle initiatives completely siloed from one another. So, at Demand Science, we actually offer 7 different ways to execute against your ABM list. So it's all going to start with defining your TAM or your total addressable market, and then taking it a step further by honing in using our account intelligence models. Accurate data and powerful intent insights power the ABM strategies we work to build with our clients. And it really does give you such an important advantage when all of your tactics work really well together. So, shortly, we'll be hearing from one of our clients who has actually put several of these tactics into play. And so that's going to be about an 8-minute video, a case study that we did with one of our clients. It's Form Assembly for Salesforce, which is a powerful SaaS solution that's going to build out customizable web forms and data collection workflows. So you'll hear from Dave, who we work really closely with. He takes a holistic multi-channel approach to targeting his top accounts. So they use content syndication and ABM advertising as their 2 core pillars, but then they also use several of our other supplemental products and services to help fill gaps and accelerate results. So let's roll the tapes.
Again, my name is Dave Goldberg. I am the Director of Growth Marketing at Form Assembly. People always ask, what do we do? We build forms, obviously, but it's certainly more than that. We provide a data collection platform so our customers can collect, connect, and secure their data with ease. Everybody uses forms. All types of businesses, verticals, and industries uses forms. So, again, we try to provide our goal is to provide the right solutions for our customers within their verticals. And, again, a big part of that is the user experience and the ease and being able to them to create great user experiences. But also on the back end too, making sure that the right security and compliance is in place as well too. So, it was good to kind of get my foot in the door with the Demand Science team and start, looking at these content syndication programs. And like I said, I've worked with content syndication vendors in the past. I think one of the things that I noticed off the bat where I decided to continue the relationship was really the service and the relationships that I felt that in a lot of my initial conversations and where things were headed, that the team at Demand Science and our various people between our account managers and people on the execution side and people leading the charge in different business areas, everybody was very receptive and really wanted to partner and help us get the best results. And that's something that's absolutely mission critical for me. I think there's this notion of when you work with outside vendors that they work for you. We tell you guys what to do or dictate, and that's it. And and I'm sure we've all been there, especially as I've been on the agency side. There can be a little of that tension. Working not just here in other companies, content syndication is really difficult. In terms of, these are people that are interacting with our content, but they're still, they're searching, they might have a problem, they're doing some research, but they don't necessarily know who Form Assembly is. So there can be a little bit of that disconnect. You can't just come at people in one direction. And so so with that, it was kind of the light bulb was going off in my head of what, there's always been this challenge of getting people to convert via content syndication. And I think that's when Christian came in the mix of hey, we have this display offering. And I was it'd be cool. Why don't we retarget some of these people that we have in content syndication with some display ads? And within the certain segments, okay, if we're going after these people, maybe they'll get demo ads and we can get them to bite on a demo. Or maybe we'll show this audience different forms of content. and so I think in this day and age, like obviously this concept of there's so much noise out there, there's so much stuff on the internet, you have to surround the buyers, in a lot of ways. It's display has always been a tricky thing, and actually with demand science it's kind of changed my opinion of it a little bit, where again, doing demand gen, you're very tied to how many leads is this bringing in, what are we getting from this. And I will say, typically speaking, I've always never been that bullish on display because it gets very expensive and you don't see clicks, you don't see results. But as we were kind of building out the programs with the display stuff, it kind of dawned on me. I said, it's okay. We don't necessarily, yes, we want clicks, we want conversions, but it's okay. I'm okay with taking this approach because it's like driving down the highway. Let's just show these people some billboards about form assembly and what we're doing as they're getting content syndication. So hopefully the light bulb goes out and they're like, oh yeah, I downloaded this and then I was seeing your ads. Maybe I'll go to their website. Maybe I'll go to learn more. So it was where things started expanded as I was digging more into the growth marketing side and form assembly, was how do we connect the dots and really try to create a buyer journey. Demand science has truly become a Swiss Army knife for us. We started with content syndication, we layered on the display ABM advertising, and now the final piece that we've been using recently is the account intelligence and the intent data through Clarity. How have we been using that, and how has that been helping us? In multiple ways. One, I'm using that and working with the growth marketing team as we're designing campaigns and different things to run through content syndication and display to figure out some of the different audiences and segments that we want to target. And where I really like using it is oftentimes when you're dealing with content syndication vendors, you're relaying information back and forth via email, which is certainly one way to do it. And we've done with the demand science team in the past. However, I like to be hands-on. I like to be in the system, seeing what buttons can I click, what different segmentations can I find, how do I layer on intent data with what's their install tech that they're using. So, we can look at some of the other technology they're using, their expiring contracts, all sorts of things. So really, it just gives us tons of options and a way for us to design campaigns. So that's where the account intelligence has been great. But then there's another use that we have for it. We're also using it to build our database. So like I said, I love being hands-on in Clarity Engine and, figuring out where are some of the gaps are in our database, what types of stuff could we engage these people with. So we're actually building audiences within our Clarity Engine, and then we're exporting them into our database. And we're doing, some warm-up emails, some things just to break the ice with them. And, everything takes time, and that's how we've designed it. Pipeline doesn't grow overnight. And at the end of the day, it's not just pipeline. We're building relationships with these prospects and customers, and it takes time. So, using Clarity Engine to, use the account intelligence and some of the intent stuff to build out specific lists, import them over, start warming up these audiences with relevant content and get them to nurture. So down the line, we're going to get them further into, hopefully in some sales processes and some sales funnels. And that means like we can really hone in on our segments, our buyers, and our ICPs that I want to help us build out the database that really matches and aligns with our business goals. And all three of these tools in conjunction, working together, has really helped me out and been great for form assembly. My absolute favorite thing about working with demand science is the customer service and the people. By having the right partners in place that are trying to help us grow our business and hit our goals on the growth marketing side, that's what we need to be successful. And without the right people and a team that cares, you can't be successful. So shout out to the demand science team and their customer service for being top notch. One example of that I'd like to give is, as I've been trying to figure out ways to expand our different programs, we've been very focused on content syndication. However, I was trying to find ways to get some more intel and some more information over to the SDRs. So we actually recently piloted the Pure Push campaign, which gave us the opportunity to not only target the leads we want, to ask specific BANT questions in order to equip our team with intel. So when they get up to bat and they're talking to these people, they have the information they need, the targeting, and everything in place, because my goal is to lay everything out to help make the SDRs as successful as possible. So pure push wasn't something I was aware of. And then when it was introduced to me by the account manager, I realized, hey, we got to try that out. And it's been great to see and watch our SDRs get excited over those leads. We saw great results with our ABM display. We had 23% account engagement, which was 38% above benchmark. If you told me I was going to get that out of a display campaign, I wouldn't have believed you, but we did, and I'm excited to keep using it and take those up a notch.
Beautiful. Well, thanks everyone. We're happy to have you watch that great case study and the rest, and just kind of to recap really quickly, reviewing synergy for success. So it's, again, that combination of content syndication, ABM leads, and that comprehensive strategy, really wanting to go and strive towards that enhanced personalization and engagement across all of your marketing efforts. At the end of the day, data is king, data is queen. So we want to make data-driven decisions when going after your ICP. And then at the end of the day, there has to be positive ROI. So we're really trying to maximize that is the name of the game here. Before I open up for questions, just want to thank you all for having Danielle and I today. We're here to answer any and all you have. So yeah, I guess without further ado, Jeffrey, if you wanted to punt a couple questions our way. If not, we'll be in the lookout for the Q&A in the Zoom chat.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you so much. That was really interesting. I do appreciate your time. Hope everyone got a little bit out of that as well. If anyone has questions, please, now's the time to enter them into the Q&A using the Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom window. Let's go ahead and get started. See what we have here. Let's see. Can you explain more about your account intelligence or account intent data?
Yeah, I can take that one, and then maybe Christian, if you have anything to add, you can jump in from there. But essentially, our buyer intent was built to give our customers an idea of what companies ultimately are going to have the highest propensity to buy their product or service. So our intent data, it differs a little bit from our competitors, being that we use both first-party and third-party data. So all of our first-party data, that's going to come from all of the content syndication campaigns that Demand Science runs. We run thousands of them a month. So we take all of the, topics that different people are interested in and the engagements they have with that content and put that in as our first party data. And then our third party data is going to come from different website visits, different product launches, different surveys that go out. If a company has extreme high growth, all of that goes into our algorithm and goes against the thousands of keywords we track. And then for each company that you're interested in and applying that keyword that's going to be relevant to your product or service, will then give you a score on a 1 to 100 scale, basically signifying how many activities are going into that intent keyword at that company. So a score of like 1 to 25 would be like preliminary research stages, but the sweet spot we recommend to our clients is going to be like more 25 to 75. That would indicate that different at the domain level, that company is, either showing some interest in that topic through research, or there's different other triggers going in that are going to give that higher score. And we update those scores weekly to help our customers prioritize accounts and then also, hit them at the right time. So Christian, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I think you did a pretty good job. Obviously, there's the content syndication side of the house and the display side of the house operate a little bit differently. It's that same baseline data set, but as an example, some cool stuff we're doing with the machine learning on the programmatic side of the house is we do scrape and have partnerships with various publishers. It's over 600,000 different websites that we're constantly in communication with. So not only do we have that huge first party data set Daniela mentioned that's by and large driven through our content syndication campaigns across tens of thousands of those every year and thousands of clients, but we've also got strategic relationships in the market. What we're able to do, and this is not all that common, so it's kind of cool, instead of being able to just track intent based off of a domain, we're actually able to go down to the persona level within that domain. So it's this group within, the IT department. Let's just say those who are have a vested interest in artificial intelligence. So those intent keywords or phrases will actually be scored and tracked differently under the same domain. Let's say it's Boeing versus a different department, because we know the needs are very markedly different between those groups. And that allows us, it gives us actually a huge leg up versus some others in the space when we go ahead and actually serve those ads, because we know, again, that maybe this department, even within IT, is acting differently than this department. Well, we're only going to want to go after those personas that are applicable to your campaign. So there's kind of an example of how granular and how geeked out we can get with this intent. But yeah, I think everything else you said was spot on. And again, the great part about it, it's the same data we're using for content syndication and display.
Very good. Somebody asks, what should I expect for budgets or costs if I'm looking into doing both of these solutions together?
Sure thing. So the barrier to entry for the display side of the house is $10,000 for a campaign. And usually it would be a similar amount for content syndication. That could be for several months, right? And you can imagine a world where maybe you've got several hundred companies you're going after. You've got your CPL for cost per lead for content syndication. For display, it's guaranteed impressions, cost per 1,000 CPM. So we would have some combination of that, but quite quickly that 20,000 over, let's say 3, 4, 5 months, it's actually quite digestible because it's happening every month. It's not one giant signature and spend off the bat.
Excellent. Could you dive a bit deeper into the importance of having first-party data versus third-party data?
I can. One thing too, and I don't want to come across as overselling this, but and other platforms do this as well, so I encourage you to look out for this. We don't have any SaaS fees or platform fees. Others do. I encourage anyone in the market to look at how that impacts their budgeting, especially with CMOs signing off. Hey, am I in a position where I'm spending X thousands of dollars for a SaaS fee or a platform fee, not even getting access to media? So that's something I did want to mention because it does have to do with that budget question. Moving on to, can you say that one more time, Jeffrey?
Yeah. Can you dive a bit deeper into the importance of having first-party data versus third-party data?
Sure. I think both are wildly important. So as Daniela said, I think once or twice, the lion's share of the data that goes into our intent model, and really the crux of our DNA, is that offline, those known individuals. So it's 200 million, I think it's close to 250 million offline contacts, John Doe, Jane Doe, internationally. That's all first-party data. We do supplement it with third-party data. I think third-party data is a good QA. It's good to say, hey, how am I checking against? It's almost a validation process. It's like, hey, okay, they said yes, this is yes. Well, then we're almost 100% certain that the answer should and is yes. The issue with third-party data is it's often quite commoditized, and it's often very run-of-the-mill, especially a lot of cookie-based audiences, which would be going away or having a massive impact with Chrome and Google's elimination of all cookies. So they're only going to be using, offline identifiers. So having that first party offline database is going to be super important, because those John Does and Jane Does, then those are converted to your Google IDs. Safari is not even addressable, right? There's lots of solutions that we implement. We partner with companies such as LiveRamp, who are working and have been working for the last 6 or 7 years towards a cookieless solution. That's really, I think, where the future is going. But at the end of the day, you've got to have your own data, because if you're relying on someone else, that data could be stale. Maybe it's not usable. A browser changes their privacy policy or their rules, right? And then tomorrow, kaputs, you can't use it. So yeah, it's super important.
Very good. One more here. Any thoughts or insights around the argument that content syndication can negatively impact SEO, and how can we avoid that?
I'll let Daniela take this one. Since I am
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to take a stab at it. I don't have a lot of experience with that feedback, to be candid. But I will say with demand science, how we run content syndication is basically we take the content that's provided by the client or the customer, and we have so many different brands that we can then promote that content through. So really, we match your content with the best brand that we have available that makes sense to promote it through. And then it's all hosted through, demand science landing pages, and we run those campaigns both via email or telemarketing, depending on what's best for that campaign. So I don't hear that feedback from my clients specifically, but I don't know, Christian, if you have
That's the first time I'm
much.
hearing it, but all things are possible these days. So
Yeah, I would imagine if that content has URL links back to your site, that's going to positively impact SEO. But
Absolutely. Yep.
there's probably more involved that I'm not thinking of right now. All right, I kind of think that's it, unless anyone has one more question to add in. Otherwise, thank you. Yes, thank you for joining today. Daniela and Christian, thank you for hosting. It was an amazing presentation. And again, thank you to Demand Science for sponsoring today's event. As a quick FYI, attendees, when you exit Zoom, there will be a window that pops up with a very short 30-second survey. We'd love to hear what you thought of today's session. And thanks again, everyone, for joining. We'll see you again soon.